Good?
We're good.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. It's 6:03. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, need a motion for the acceptance of the agenda. Motion, Sam, second. Margaret? Any questions? All in favor? Margaret, I did get you right. I couldn't see your face, but I did see a hand, so I guessed.
Yeah, you got it. No, this line is a little straight.
Anybody for public forum?
No.
Okay. I need a motion for the acceptance of the consensus agenda. Motion, please. Joe, second. Ron? Any questions? All in favor? And we have the pros tax collection report presentation. Hi, Alex.
Hello. Yes. Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes to just go over the collection statistics for the year. We just wrapped up tax collection. So our tax warrant for this year was $26,506,443. And this is just a breakdown of how we collected that, which is actually pretty similar to last year. So of that, we collected $23,726,494. 5% of those payments were in person, 19% of those were online payments, 68% of those were payments that were made to the bank, and 8% went uncollected as compared to last year where we were at 9%. And this is just an online payment comparison of the total that we collected in orange as compared to the bottom, which was fees. We stopped absorbing those fees made online last year, so we didn't inquire any fees to us this year or last year. In comparison, we normally were around 73,000. And e-bank service charges are what we paid the bank to process those lockbox services for us. This year, we saw an uptick of about $4,023.76 as compared to last year, and that was mainly attributed to an increase in our bank fees. And all in all, we ended up turning over $2,093,900 on collected taxes over to the Columbia County Treasurer, so they will reimburse us 100% in April of 2026, and overall, we have a pretty good season. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Okay, next up, we have the 2024-25 New York Assessment and Regents results from Dr. Elsa.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get started. So tonight's presentation is called A Portrait of Learning at Taconic Hill Central School District, what we see, what we do next. So these are our learning targets for today. So to highlight patterns and trends in the New York State assessment data from 2023 through 2025 at Taconic Hills. We are also going to demonstrate how the data drives the district and building action plans to address the gaps, as well as highlight the improvements in academic achievement of our students. Lastly, we're going to identify how the work of the buildings align with the district's strategic plan. As you know, this is our mission and vision. This is our why. This is why we continue to do what we do. I'm not going to read it to you because obviously you have seen it many, many times. These are our core values. This is what we go by, and these are constant reminders to us of what we should espouse to have in our schools. And it is also something that we remind the faculty, teachers, principals about. As you can see, they are, diverse. And today specifically, I want to say that we're going to focus on student success and growth, but there's relevance around all these other core values as well. And you're going to find that during the presentation tonight. As you know, in our strategic plan, we have three priority areas. One being academic excellence, the other one being the school environment, and the third one is operations. Today, I'm going to be speaking to you about academic excellence, which is this priority right here. And we will increase student engagement through a growth mindset and student agency to demonstrate student individual success. That's what we strive for each and every day. So talking about academic excellence, we're going to take a look at some data and some commitments. These are our three commitments for the year. This is what has been stated to the staff, faculty, principals of what we're going to be focusing on for this academic school year. We're focusing on MTSS, to establish MTSS to ensure strengthening of our Tier 1 instruction and to provide targeted support for all students. We're focusing also on essential standards to ensure coherence of the written and taught curriculum in grades K to 12 and increase rigor and student engagement. We're also focusing on the writing process. This is to ensure that writing is taught and embedded in all academic areas to enhance critical thinking and prepare our students for life after graduation. So what is our district's data showing us? Let's take a look. Let's going to start with the New York State assessments in grades 3 to 8. So when you look at this data, it is important to note that when you're looking at grades 3 to 8, you're looking at cohorts. You're looking at the class moving from one grade to the next. Okay, so we want to compare apples to apples and make sure that we keep that in mind. So for this third grade ELA cohort, what you want to look at is in 2024, they were at 32% proficiency level. So when you look at the fourth grade assessment and what the results were in 2025, that's the class you're looking at, the third grade cohort. So as you can see in math, I should also mention that this bar right here is called a heat map graph or bar. And it goes from red to orange, yellow, and then green. So green means that it is a high proficiency level, whereas red is more of a low proficiency level. Okay, and then you have the in-betweens. So this is the third grade math proficiency percentages in ELA. It was in 2025 is up 31.75 and rounded that to 32%. And then for the third grade math, it's at 35.9, which rounded off, you could, it's 36%. So the math, the ELA fourth grade, as you can see, as we go through this data, what I'm going to point out to you is how the third grade achieved, what proficiency level did they achieve in 2025. So when we look at 2025, those students that were in that third grade cohort moved to fourth grade in ELA, and they now are performing at that percentage right there, which is hard to see because it's yellow, but it says 51.4. That particular grade level cohort, it went from 32% in 2024 to 51%, 51.4, okay? So you can see that that was a huge increase in proficiency levels. That's an ELA. In math, in 2024, that third grade class was at 44%, so they decreased slightly to 38%. And so on and so forth. Our fifth grade, which in 2024 was our fourth grade, and they were at, I wrote these percentages here so I don't forget. (33%), and look at this jump, 55%. almost 56% in ELA. Look at math. In math, they went from 54% to 52%, so there was a slight drop. Again, if you want to look at the bar itself in those 3 years, you want to look at yellow going into green, etc. And if it's all green, then it's a really great, strong performance. Let's look at sixth grade. Our sixth grade ELA, which was our fifth grade cohort, scored at 47% in 2024. So there was an increase of 50 to 57%, which is 10% increase. And then our math was 63%, increase again 10%, 73%. Almost close to 74% if you round that off. So according to our data, the building plans looked at our strategic plan and decided, okay, what are the things that we must do as a building level to close the gap in achievement? And they created their own action plans. This was done in the beginning of the school year. In the summer, we got together and we developed these plans. First and foremost, I have to highlight that at the elementary level, they are taking a very strong STRONG stance on SEL, social emotional learning, and making sure that students feel safe, welcome, and valued at the elementary school so that they want to come to school, so that it improves behavior and so that it improves attendance. Another thing that they're focusing on is our tier 1 instruction by making sure that essential standards are unpacked, that every teacher knows what those standards are, and that we're unpacking that in that content area. So meaning all of the ELA standards are unpacked in grades K, 1, 2, 3, 4, but also vertically. What are some of the exit criteria, right? What is it that the prerequisites for some of the students that need to have in order to go from one grade to another? So that vertical articulation is starting. It has not been I should say more frequent happening as the unpacking of the horizontal essential standards. So the goal is to continuously work on this, and the goal is to make sure that we do have articulation of all of the prerequisite skills moving from one standard, one grade to the next. In the academic realm, we're also focusing a lot on learning walks and data talks. So this is a qualitative data. So when teachers are teaching, the school leaders go into classrooms and note what are the practices that are in place. Are we implementing programs with fidelity? Are we making sure that we progress monitor students? And that's why you see that there. We conduct those walkthroughs, and we also provide feedback to teachers to ensure that everybody's hearing the same message, everybody's getting the same message. And then when we meet with each other as an administrative cabinet, we also talk about those walkthroughs, so that when we go into classrooms, we're seeing the same thing and we're talking about the same things. We also conduct formal observations, and we also invest a lot on PD. Professional development is key, and we do that by having professional development that is embedded, meaning we have our own instructional coaches. When they go into classrooms, they model lessons for teachers, and then they sit down and talk to that teacher about some feedback, things that they can do in the classroom to improve learning. But we also invest a lot on professional development that comes from, let's say, Questar. Some of those instructional coaches that work with our teachers that come from Questar. And not to mention from themselves, teaching each other, teacher to teacher. Let's talk about middle school, okay, the intermediates, or I'm sorry, the middle school, junior high school. So in the 7th grade, you're going to see that this will be the sixth grade class in 2024. So that sixth grade class in 2024 in ELA was at 58%. So they had a slight drop to 51% in ELA. In math, sixth grade had 57%, and now they are at 47%. So that's a 10% decrease or drop. In eighth grade, that seventh grade class that took the test in 2024 is, or had a proficiency level of 35. So there was a slight increase to 40%, almost 41%. And in math, the students in seventh grade in 2024, which is now your 2025, scored at 32%, and there was practically no change in that particular class, in that cohort. These are the fifth grade science proficiency percentages. I should note that in 2023, we used to have our fourth graders test, and this changed in 2024, and our fifth graders are the ones that are administered this test per New York State regulations. So this is the comparison of the 2024 proficiency levels in science versus the 2025. And this is our eighth grade science proficiency percentages. Again, better than 2024. Let's take a look at our regions. Remember what I told you about the colors. Very strong ELA performance, English regions. Our scores are at 87%, almost 88%, and I should note that, I should let you know also that as compared to the state, we're above. 79 students took the test. I should also let you know that students took these tests, and we started, I believe, last year in January. So there is a big difference between students taking the test in January versus taking the test in June. Some students that take the test or the students that take the test in January, then don't have to take the test in June, obviously. So only a few students take the test in June. So I should know, you should know that as well, that it depends on, when you're talking about regions, it doesn't operate as a cohort anymore. These are students that actually need to take these tests in order to graduate. Algebra 1, the test changed. I should mention to you that during this period of time, that was a different type of test. The expectations were different and the standards were different. So we saw a drop. 80 students took the test. And you can see here that it used to be Common Core Algebra 1, and now it's next generation standards. This is your Algebra 2. This is a reason to celebrate. 100% of your students, of our students, are achieving mastery and passing the Algebra 2 regions. 28 students took the test. Geometry. Again, we see that there's a slight change. We went from 16 up to 37%. 56 students took the test. And again, this is changing based on the new standards for the state. Let's talk about science. This is a living environment, and students scored in 2025. Students that reached proficiency were 62%, 69%, so close to 63%. This is our Earth and Space Science, another test that changed. So with this, we got to keep in mind that the New York State Education Department gives us different expectations sometimes. And so with that comes the difference in the proficiency levels. As you can see, it dropped. This is the chemistry regions. The physics, only 11 students had to take that test.
What's that number in yellow?
50%.
Yeah, it's hard to see with the yellow. And this is the, whoops.
Changed on my computer, but I don't know why it's not changing.
You want to change it?
It is changed on my computer, it's not changing.
It's stuck on here.
John's not good.
What was the one before that? That was physics, what's the
It's
one?
not going in
Yeah,
either direction.
Yeah, it must be disconnected. I have to.
That's physics right there. The
This
other
one is
one was,
physics.
the other
Oops.
one was,
Chemistry.
earth
Chemistry.
science.
Oh, chemistry was, it was chemistry, then physics, and chemistry was around 52, because that was yellow,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Trying to
I think while she's reconnecting, we could just point out that when we're talking about passing rates, that means that students who passed with a 65 or higher, because that's what you need to pass,
Yes,
and that mastery on a Regents is considered getting an 85% or higher.
correct.
So we did not separate the data by how many students had mastery on it. We're looking simply at students who passed the Regents, which was a requirement for graduating.
That's correct. So if we jump to, let's see if this thing works now. Yep, okay, physics. 11 students took the test, and it's 50%.
Sorry, by proficiency, then you're saying it just means passing by 65%? Is that what
Yes.
this is?
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
just passing.
Well,
And
right,
above.
we're talking about
65% above.
proficiency in that they passed it. I
Right.
just wanted to point out that mastery would be students scoring 85 or higher. We didn't separate the data out that way. We're just
Okay.
We
looking
did
at
not.
who passed the exams, which is a requirement to get their high school diploma. If we separated it out by mastery level with students getting 85% or higher, it would be different percentages.
Correct.
And then I have a quick question.
Sure.
So some of these, like physics is probably not required, I'm assuming 11 students, not everyone takes physics.
Not everyone takes physics,
Or
you're correct.
chemistry maybe?
Right.
Chemistry required?
No. They have to have 2 science credits,
One
one,
science, 2 social
2 social
studies,
studies,
One
yeah,
one math,
1 math.
and the ELA.
So is it more of a focus on, because we want kids to graduate, is it more of a focus on Algebra 1 and living environment, those classes? Like, so that they can graduate?
When you say more of a focus, you mean,
Like, is the school like, okay, we want these kids to pass the Regents and these ones,
right,
they won't need to hopefully take chemistry and physics later, but they need to pass these Regents in order to graduate high school, right?
yes, yes. But again, when we look at the students that are in those classes, physics and chemistry, and, you know, it behooves us to make sure that they also, you know, achieve passing rates. But you're absolutely right, the English is a must. The algebra is a must. They must pass those two.
Dr. Courtwright,
Yes.
first, can I just interject?
Sure.
So the global Regents exam and the US history exam are also required. The ELA, as Dr. Courtwright Torres said, algebra, and then 1 science, which for most students tends to be earth science or living environment. That's the minimum requirement right now in New York State to graduate with your Regents diploma. The students who pass more than that, more than those 5 basic, can get a different kind of diploma, such as an advanced Regents.
Mhm.
So those are the minimum that we're looking for students to do, while we're also encouraging our students to take more and earn a higher degree, so to speak.
Correct. So, again, the global history did quite well as well. This is US history and government. slight drop there from 79% to 68%. So for the secondary level, their building plan focused on, again, tier 1 instruction and making sure that we strengthen that. That is done through classroom visits, focusing on student engagement and checks for understanding. That's what they decided they needed to do in order for them to close the achievement gap. They also want to ensure that there's rigor in these classrooms, that the work that is being done in the classrooms has rigor. They're also focusing on having learning targets posted on the boards and that the students understand what they're learning about and can explain, what is the why behind that. Because it is a district initiative also and a district action plan item, they're also obviously focusing on the essential standards. Again, making sure that tier 1 instruction is strengthened. They also look at data analysis. They do faculty meetings whereby they look at the data and make sure that their plans are adjusted based on the data. Some of the data that they're looking at would be the regions, but also NWEA data. They're also focusing on the social emotional aspect of learning and being in school. As you know, when students feel safe, valued, respected, they are going to want to come to school when they feel welcome. When school is a place where they feel safe, they're going to want to come to school. So to that end, they're analyzing the DESA results and creating mini lessons to go along with some of those students that are scoring at a high risk in that DESA screener. They're also focusing on technology and making sure that technology is something that they utilize, not only for the students to utilize, but also for teaching. So things like AI and different types of programs, like gizmos and things of that nature. The nicest slide. So this test is the test that is given to all English language learners, regardless of what level they're at, except commanding. But what we do is, what we want to know is, are our students moving from one level to the next? Okay, so these are your numbers in terms of how in 2022 to 2023, we started at 33 students. We're up now to 41 students that are considered English language learners in our school district. This is really good data. As you can see, the red indicates an entering level student. So when the student gets to Taconic Hills, if they score at an entering level, what you hope to see is that those students that are entering, is that this red gets smaller, and as you go along, eventually this blue becomes higher, which is the commanding. When they reach commanding, they're no longer in need of English as a second language services or ENL services. And so we want these numbers to actually increase, and they have. This is really exciting data, and I think it's really something that we should be proud of. That when our students come here, we have great teachers, and as you can see, this is a trend over multiple years. Kudos to them. And how did that take place? So I asked the teachers, just like I did with the building level principals and their faculty, to explore what are the things that are happening that made that happen, that increase in percentage of students. So some things that we have focused on, big focus on literacy, big. We want our students to be able to have vocabulary skills, be able to decode in English, be able to read, to write. So some of the things that they're doing is obviously the science of reading training that they've had, all three of them. Some of them, I don't think all three of them have, these three teachers right here, have had OG training, which is Orton Gilligan. That training is specific to reading. It is for teachers to make sure that students are able to decode and read. And so that is a very targeted intervention that Some of our teachers have, and they've been trained on. We also have Lexia English, which is an adaptive computerized program that students sit and utilize it in order to learn vocabulary, in order to learn how to read, and they also improve their reading comprehension. We're also conducting the Writing Revolution book study, which is a book study that we just started this year. It's fantastic. It is being led by Beth Flores, our literacy coordinator. She is wonderful, and she has created sort of lessons to go along with this Writing Revolution book. I'm really excited about it. And this big focus on literacy and how to improve our writing, teaching of writing, so that all students benefit from it. Because there's research that shows that when students know how to write, they reduce their cognitive overload. So students that put words into paper and know how to write will be able to have critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills. So those are the kinds of things that we want to look at, and that research is out there, and that's part of the book as well. They have also increased family engagement by having 3 events throughout the year. Thrill Share is something that is huge. So something as small as having a text to parents to let them know how their children are doing in class, that has come a long way. They have also focused on having 1 teacher per grade level band. And so these teachers are uniquely trained and specialized in that particular age group of students. And focusing, on building rapport with the students and having stronger relationships with them. So here's a summary of the district data that I just presented to you. Overall, there are improvements in academic performance on the New York State assessments in grades 3 to 6. Our English and Algebra 2 region scores have been higher than other state regions for the past 3 years. Our Algebra 2 is the highest score among all regions. There was a decrease of almost 21% in proficiency of the Algebra 1 regions from 2024 to 2025. There has been a decrease in scores in all of the science regions. And the 3rd grade cohort proficiency improved from 32% in 2024 to 51% in 2025 in ELA. The 5th grade cohort proficiency improved from 63% in 2024 to 74% in 2025 in math. The 7th grade cohort proficiency improved from 35% in 2024 to 45% in 2025 in ELA. And our ELS students, which I'm really proud of, increased their proficiency level from expanding to commanding from 7% to 14%. So let me talk to you a little bit about what I wanted to include in this presentation. One of the things that I wanted to include was the teachers' voices. Obviously, we cannot have the whole faculty present here, and I hope that they're watching. But I did really wanted to include their voices. And one thing that I did was create a Google Form survey that I sent out to all the teachers. I told them I was presenting tonight and that we were going to present on the school data, on the data for the state assessments. I asked these questions in that survey. So the questions that you have in front of right here are the same questions I asked in the survey. My favorite question is, if you had a magic wand, what would you like to see happening to improve the overall academic achievement of our students? Responses were then captured. So I took all the responses, I converted it into a PDF file, and I fed that to Google Notebook LM. It is an application that is utilized through AI. It is powered. This is one way that we can use AI in a positive way. And it captured the voices of these teachers in a video. And I'd like you to take a look at that video.
Have you ever wondered what's really going on inside our schools? I mean, not just the day-to-day lessons, but the actual strategy. Well, today we get to pull back the curtain. We're looking at an internal survey from a school district that gives us a peek at the real-life playbook educators are using right now. Okay, let's dive in. You know, we hear so much about test scores, about graduation rates, but what are the things teachers are focusing on day in and day out that they believe really make a difference for kids? What's the real conversation happening in those important team meetings? So we got a hold of this really candid survey. We're talking teachers from kindergarten all the way through high school, sharing what's working, what's not, and their biggest headaches. This is a totally unfiltered look in their own words. So where does it all begin? Well, the first huge theme that just jumps out is that modern teaching isn't about guesswork. It's all about having a solid blueprint. And that blueprint, it's built on data. Okay, quick sidebar, because you're going to see this term NWEA pop up. It's a really key tool for them. Basically, it's a diagnostic test. Think of it like a GPS for learning. It shows a teacher exactly where a student is, what they've mastered, and where they need to go next. It's less about a final grade and way more about drawing a personalized map. And what's so interesting here is the sheer variety of data they're using. I mean, it's not like they're just looking at one big test score. They're piecing it all together. They look at the big state exams, of course, but also those NWEA diagnostic tests, the curriculum guides that tell them what they have to teach, and even simple daily classroom info, like attendance. It's this whole multi-layered approach to get the complete story on a student. But data, that's just the starting line. The single biggest thing that teachers said led to success wasn't some fancy new software or curriculum. Nope, it was each other. It really proves that in education, success is a team sport. This quote just nails it, right? It all starts with everyone being on the same page. It's about teams of teachers actually sitting down together, looking at the core curriculum, those essential standards, and making sure they're all pulling in the same direction. And this is so crucial. That collaboration doesn't just happen by magic. It has to be built in. This teacher points out that having that scheduled, dedicated, common planning time is the secret sauce. That's what creates the consistency that gets real results for kids. And this isn't just happening in little teams of 2 or 3. We're seeing whole departments focusing on this. They're working on just talking to each other more openly so they can make stronger, more unified decisions. It's about taking that collaborative idea and making it school-wide. So the takeaway here is pretty simple. Whether we're talking about 2 teachers figuring out a lesson or an entire department mapping out the school year, the message from these educators is loud and clear. We are strongest when we work together, period. Okay, that all sounds pretty great, doesn't it? You've got a clear strategy, it's based on data, it's built on teamwork, but it's never that easy, is it? The survey also dug into the major roadblocks that are making all this great work so darn difficult. So let's talk about those headwinds. And these aren't just small, everyday frustrations. Teachers pointed to these big systemic challenges that keep getting in the way of actually putting their plans into motion. And this list, it's pretty revealing. These aren't just minor complaints. We're talking about major structural problems. Teachers brought up how hard it is to make sure what's taught in 6th grade lines up with what's needed in 12th. They talked about the nightmare of the master schedule, which can literally make or break their ability to collaborate. And a theme you see again and again is the need for more people, more resources, just to keep up with changing state exams and help the kids who need the most support. It's this complex, tangled web of problems. But even with all those issues on the table, there was one problem that teachers brought up over and over again. It had a real sense of urgency to it. One fundamental barrier that could stop even the best plan dead in its tracks. Yeah, the biggest hurdle, it wasn't curriculum, it wasn't testing, it was just getting kids in the door. Teachers are dealing with a straight up crisis of empty seats. You can just feel the mix of frustration and genuine care in this quote, can't you? It perfectly captures that feeling of helplessness when you've got a great lesson ready to go, you have all the data, but the student who needs it most just isn't there. And this comment just cuts right to the bone. It's so blunt, so powerful, and it's a simple truth. It doesn't matter how amazing the teacher is or how perfect the plan is. None of it works if the student isn't in the classroom. You just can't teach an empty chair. So after laying out all the strategies and all the struggles, the survey asked this one last really powerful question. And it's a question that gets to the heart of what educators believe would really change the game. No rules, no budget meetings. If you could just wave a magic wand and change one thing to help your students succeed, what would that one thing be? And their answers, they were incredibly consistent and really telling. And their wishes weren't for shiny new gadgets or fancy buildings. Fundamentally, they were about 2 things, people and time. First, more support staff, specifically those specialist teachers who can work with small groups and help fill in the learning gaps. Second, and this goes right back to what they said makes them successful, was more dedicated planning time. They know working together is the key, but they need the actual time in the schedule to do it. And third, a big focus on building a stronger foundation with more resources and family buy-in right from the very beginning, in those early grades. This last quote just sums up that third wish perfectly. It's a vision for being proactive instead of reactive. The whole idea is, let's invest everything we have in those early years to stop the learning gaps from ever getting wide in the first place, instead of trying to patch them up years down the road. So after getting this inside look at one district's playbook, it kind of leaves us with one final thought. These challenges, these wishes for more time, for more support, for a stronger foundation, something tells me they aren't unique to this one place. It makes you wonder, right? What does the playbook look like in your community? And what's the one thing your local school needs more than anything else?
So those were the voices of our teachers in an AI produced video. I want to end with 2 slides. One of them is, these are the district priorities going back to how we started the presentation on the things that we're focusing on. As you can see, everything that you heard in the video is being talked about, the use of data, making sure that teachers are working in teams, making sure that we are strengthening our the tier 1 instruction, making sure that we are doing writing and actually learning how to teach writing so that students feel like they have the tools that they need to be successful. The one thing that I should say that they also talked about in the video, in the voices that you heard, was the fact that more staff doesn't necessarily mean that we're not doing that or we don't have that. We actually have staff. What we are looking at is how are we utilizing that staff better to meet the needs of all the students. And it may be that one teacher at the high school level, for instance, there's less AIS teachers because by the time they get to the high school, we shouldn't have a lot of AIS teachers. By that time, students should be able to read and write, et cetera, and math. However, that's not to say that we don't need it. We actually do need it. And it's a matter of how do we utilize the time, looking at the master schedule, making sure that we have time to support students in their classrooms. Lastly, how do we know that we're doing this and we're doing it right? These are some indicators of success. So we have in database decision-making that is embedded into our practices. So whenever we talk about doing something, that it is based on data. What data do you have to support that idea? Tiered supports are clearly defined and implemented. We want fidelity of implementation. If we have new programs, such as Math Reveal, making sure that those programs are being implemented with fidelity. That we have collaboration, and that is cross-departmental collaboration. That we have clear identification and use of essential standards in our planning, and that our instructional practices are aligned to those standards. So when we go into classrooms and conduct walkthroughs or learning walks, that we're seeing those practices. That there's evidence of student mastery and that is tracked so that we know, okay, how are students progressing from one year to the next? That we have positive discussions with teachers around those instructional practices. Again, going back to that collaboration piece is huge. That we have students who are engaged, that want to come to school, that love coming to school, that like to be sitting in that particular classroom learning. That we have consistency in classroom expectations, from being ready to learn to having the right materials in front of you and doing what the teacher is asking to do. To also students demonstrating growth with the writing process, and lastly, increasing their stamina. So making sure that students have that stamina and independence when they are writing. And that concludes my slides. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
Sorry. The,
Oh, sorry, it's okay.
the heat band for grades 3
Yes.
through 8 was the proficiency level in those who got 3s and 4s.
Correct.
And then, we saw improvement in like the ELA.
Yes.
Did we, and I know you just
What
got,
grade levels?
for a couple of the elementary grade levels.
Mhm.
Are we doing a new reading, writing program? Is there like something over the last couple of years? I know before I left, a lot of people were trained in the science of reading. Are we making sure that new staff coming in are also trained in the science of reading?
Yes.
Is that,
So the answer to that is yes. We do have a literacy review committee that meets twice in a month. And when we have new teachers, we have, again, Beth Flores, who is fantastic literacy coach. She fills that teacher in on the science of reading, but we have also sent out teachers to be credentialed in the science of reading. So all of our teachers are. And if they're not, then we are going to make sure that that happens.
and then do we know what percentage of our elementary students are taking the 3 through 8 exams? Are we seeing a good number taking those 3 through 8 assessments?
Yes, we have, it's pretty much everyone. I think last year it was like one opt-out for just one specific ELA, and they did math or more, I can't remember. But
They usually do ELA because it's first, and then they opt out math.
Actually, you know, that time period where people were just opting out, it's passed.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do want to point out that Ms. D'Amico has made a point in the last 2 years to call parents. Not that that wasn't happening before, but to call them and really explain the importance, especially as they're getting older, and that number has decreased in the last couple of years.
Okay. So, thank you.
Yes.
Do you think it's important for kids to learn cursive? And we don't do cursive here, right?
We do cursive in 3rd, and we are now also doing it in 4th grade.
Thank you.
And did we not do it when we restarted it? Molly's
We've been doing it in 3rd grade for as long as I've been.
It was like, but it was like, we did like a unit on it, and like, I can't read it. I know, like, I'm a byproduct of this, and I know many other people are, we can't. Just because we teach it doesn't mean it's.
So it's not continued.
Well, it's like, it's not continued, it's like, this is what it is, here's cursive, here's how to write it.
But
That's it.
I'll
Bye.
also say, I think Molly, Mr. Miko was a middle school
Yeah.
principal when you were in school
Correct.
and not in the elementary
Right.
school, so that might be a shift too.
Good point. Thank you.
Yeah, I do have, I'm sorry, I
Yes.
do have one question. The magic wand, one of the things
Yes.
was, more time to collaborate.
Yes.
And while I'm all about collaboration, I guess my question would be, how much time in a day is there? Because we really want them in front of students for
Yes.
instruction. So, you know, I mean, again, it's a magic wand, but I mean, maybe there is a way to accommodate some of that. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just,
More recess.
it's just, you know, like that's a hard,
It is
that's a hard ask.
It is a hard ask. However, I think there are ways of doing it. First and foremost, teachers, we need to abide by the contract. They need a prep every day, and it's a duty-free prep, but there's a day that they have 2 preps. And on that particular day, they could meet. We
So it would be
also,
a scheduling.
right,
for
it's a
that.
scheduling, trying to, yeah, some call it a scheduling nightmare, but it's actually
Could be,
trying
I
to,
guess,
yeah, it
yeah.
can be. It's trying to look for that way of having teachers have that common planning time, and also after school, teachers contractually, we have 24 meetings that we could have with them.
Okay.
So during that time, they meet and they plan, and it's making good use of that time. It's not about, you know, discussing anything that can be put in an email, or it's about getting to the bottom of what we need to do.
Okay. that's
The
good.
principals, do you want to add anything
In
to
the
that?
elementary, it's easier, I think, to have common planning time, so we have that for all of the grade levels. We've also worked at trying to have some common planning time for some of the interventionists as well. They do get once a week, the classroom teacher get an additional class. That's challenging because it's sort of hit or miss, so one will have it one time, one will have it another time. But we do have that, they've got their 7:35 time in the morning where they meet, they can meet 5 days a week if they so desire. And Elsa's correct, we were really focusing on if we can take information instead of a faculty meeting and make it an email, we're doing that. And one of the big pushes in the elementary school this year is, as you saw, she mentioned, we are looking at the essential standards and we are aligning it. So in other words, where do we expect second graders to end? What skills should they have at the end of second grade? What skills should they have at the beginning of third? And we assume they should align. So we need to make sure that if they aren't, what do we need to do in order to bridge those gaps? So we're doing a lot more of that. And we're also, just another thing is we're running MTSS meetings, and there's lots of great conversations during those because it's not only academic for academic needs for students, there are also behavioral. If students have challenging behaviors, so we're every 6 to 10 weeks, depending on the situation, the specific student, we have these meetings and we continue to have those collaborative conversations.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add one more thing on?
Sure.
Something that we also really started last year and take a lot of pride in is Mary and I will meet with the content coordinators, who are chosen by their grade level as like the leaders of that grade. So they're teachers who are well respected, that are really dedicated to their instruction and are following our strategic plan and vision. So after those people are chosen, we meet with them, we give them a focus that we think would really kind of push what we're doing with the district. And then they turnkey and give that to their grade level. So that way, that time that they're meeting collaboratively is really structured and is continuing to drive where we see ourselves going. So rather than just a random conversation, it's really focused and structured.
Right.
Yeah, I also train the faculty on the DataWise protocol, which is a specific protocol that is utilized to analyze data and to provide a structure for creating action plans for groups of students with goals and things of that nature. So that is cyclical so that we can come back to it and make sure that kids are, if we put something in place for them, we check 6 weeks from now, how are they doing? And we create a new goal and go on from there. Are there any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
One, I want to give Web a shout out for her 100% master in algebra too. But also like future and foresight planning is that Web is very near to retirement. So she's going to be a very difficult person to replicate. And then like my secondary concern after watching this is there was a big drop in the cohort for the math testing from grades 6 to 7. And then there was no change in 7 to 8. Which is interesting because we pull out all of our accelerated students. They don't take that grade 8 exam. So it's interesting that even pulling those students out, there wasn't a change in data from grade 7 to 8. And I just am like curious if there's a thought process to maybe revisit how many kids were accelerating, because my fear is that also while we want to keep rigor, are we pushing too many people into the accelerated that aren't quite ready? Because our algebra numbers, I'd be curious to see what the percentage of like 9th grade algebra versus 8th grade algebra, because I'd say probably most of our passing would have been from the accelerated program historically, but just the way that that data falls differently. And I know we don't have as many kids as we used to have, but it feels like we're still accelerating the same number of kids that we used to. So percentage wise, it's a larger number, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. And I think there are various factors that go into play when you look at these numbers. One of them is also staffing changes that have occurred in the 7th and 8th grade. But it's an interesting thing that you're bringing up about the accelerated students, and that's something that we can definitely talk about.
So the
Darby,
last
did you
year,
want to
there's
add?
probably about 25 kids that were accelerated, and all of them did pass. And a bunch of them with mastery, the algebra regents exam. So that is, yes, we are taking that top level. So that is when you're looking at the data, you have to, thank you for pointing that out.
Sure.
Because there is no change. However, that's also because all those students have been pulled. We have thought and entertained a couple of different things, but I don't know where we're going to be right now with implementation and follow through at this time. But we were actually thinking of accelerating more students, because if you look at different studies about acceleration, especially in the math area, it opens up more opportunities in STEM and other fields for occupations later on. So that has been thought about, but again, the other problem is that some students are not, like, we can't do it 100%, all of our 8th graders do it,
Right.
because some of them are just not ready. So we have been talking about that and what we wanna like try to do, because we wanna, yes, increase rigor, but we wanna make sure our students are growing successfully.
Did you watch Count It Out?
No.
Oh, it's a great documentary and you're hitting on most of it. So.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
I think the other.
Yeah, Count It Out. I don't know, we watched our last PD day.
Yeah.
And it does, like, it talks about how math, when you, those barriers so early, they like don't
Yeah.
have as many
Yeah.
opportunities, so.
There's so many different research articles about it, and last year I brought it to Mike about when he was here about it, and said, like, you know, we were trying to weigh out the pros and cons of, you know, if we put all of our kids in here, what is the potential growth and what are the opportunities, and then what are our negative growth and our weaknesses that we would need to supplement. So for this year, we didn't go with it because we didn't have that flushed out and finalized.
I do want to point out too that some shifts that we may see have to do with purchasing and committing to 5 years with a new math program, new math resources that are vertically and horizontally aligned, K through 8th grade. So we're excited to see how that will happen. And there's a lot of pieces in that program that will support our students, such as assessments that are digital, starting in kindergarten, that our students that are aligned with the New York State assessment. So lots of opportunities to hopefully see even more growth.
And that's probably a good point for the rest of the board. The 3 through 8 exams are all online.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting testing format. I think more of our kids are used to it now, but it's interesting to get them to show work and stuff. Whereas the regions are all still like paper-based. So it's probably an interesting, if we really looked at if they took it on paper versus if they took it on computers.
Nice study, yeah. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, superintendent report.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Corey Torres. Thank you for that great presentation. These are the commitments which you have, and I just always link, oh, that didn't update, that's weird, okay. In the report that I'll put in your weekly board report, this slide should be updated. For each of these commitments, I link the slides that they have to do with. But for the first one, expanding presence and engagement with legislative leaders, I do get a newsletter from Senator Josh Riley. He had a survey in there that I completed this past month. And then I know that Bonnie will be talking about the Copiague Town meeting that we attended. So all of these we hit on this month, continue to do that. Some of the highlights were attending NYSSBA in Manhattan. I know for me, I attended some really great sessions. One of them that really stood out to me was writing policy. Just as I've learned as a superintendent, looking at policy in a different lens. And that session was really great because it was just about writing it so that it is meaningful and understood by our community. Macbeth, fabulous. Once again, well done. We've had Shakespeare Festival here for 23 years, which is really a wonderful opportunity for our students, and they continue to shine. I was able to attend the Fall Athletics Awards ceremony. What I loved about that is that each coach took time to talk about all of their athletes, and just for all of them to be acknowledged in that way was really wonderful. And we are excited about our football team that won. Thank you, Ron, for being at that game.
it was exciting to know that they won and they're moving on.
I don't want any praise on that.
It was good
They
to
won
have.
on their own.
And I do just want to point out that Bobby Joe has set up transportation, and we also did get a donation this week of a party bus for our students to travel in, but that also requires cooperation and coordination with Bobby Joe, so thank you for planning and setting all of that up for them to travel to SUNY Morrisville on Saturday. I do want to welcome Jeff Simons. I put this information up, but I thought if you wanted to just introduce yourself to the board and say your own few words about yourself. Okay.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity to serve your district. It's a great district. I've only been here 2 days, but I've learned that you have a lot of great people here, great students here, strong administrative team, and I look forward to working with you. My background is I recently retired, but I guess I'm failing at retirement.
We know the feeling.
As the superintendent of East Greenbush, I worked for the summer as the assistant superintendent there after retirement, and then they thought it would be a good idea to put me in charge of the bus garage. And I did that in August, and my background is I've been a superintendent for 18 years. I was an assistant superintendent for instruction and building principal at the elementary level, a staff and curriculum developer at Lagos. I'm thrilled to be here to support this great work that's going on, that's focused on kids, and I look forward to working with everybody here to do what I can to build relationships and to continue to advance the agenda that the superintendent and the administrative team and board has put together.
Thank you. We really appreciate you being here. I did tell him with 18 years experience and me in my 3rd year as a superintendent that I welcome feedback and reflection. So, but I also want to share something that he probably won't, which is yesterday. It wasn't a required meeting, but he invited the 7th through 12th faculty to a meet and greet at the end of the day. I think there were probably about 30 people who were able to attend because also there's lots of other things going on after school. But what I really love as far as building positive relationships, Mr. Simons just started out asking them, tell me what you're most proud of, tell me how I can help, and what concerns you the most. So already working to make those, build those relationships to support our students and our faculty and staff so they can do what they need to do. So thank you. Going the wrong way, I apologize. I just wanted to note that Mike Robbins has put in his retirement. That's always bittersweet when we have a strong educator. He's had 24 years of service here in our district. Again, the slides didn't update, but you'll see in my report. He also has supported education as a whole by having student teachers, mentoring them, and one student teacher just finished with him who was there this fall and is now in another placement. But I know that teacher got a lot out of it, and this isn't, of course, the only time he's done that. And he does have a love of literacy, which he's always excited to share what the kids are doing and how he's even continued to grow as a veteran teacher, trying new and different strategies. So we wish him the best. It's our loss, but we never know. Maybe he won't really retire like Mr. Simon. Maybe he'll fail. It could happen. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up. We are going to have, Amy Janito is going to have a work-based learning booth, and she's also making herself available to meet with the families of the students who are participating in that this year. Dr. Courtwright Torres is going to be setting up a Stories Across Generations table. We are looking to have our senior citizens continue that program, and we want our parents to be aware of it and have the opportunity to have their kids stay after. We're going to do it this year after school, as an after school opportunity from 3 to 4. That way we can hopefully get some of the students that are in the after school program, and then it's an extension of the day for other students rather than it being during their lunchtime, because last year that was a challenge. You know, they would miss recess, they didn't want to miss recess or things like that. And what was on here was that PTO will be having their annual wreath raffle as well, so. The superintendent's conference day, that went really well. This is just some of the results of it. I do want to say that all of the data was put into the same Google Notebook LM, and Dr. Courtwright Torres shared that with the faculty staff via email today. So in being transparent and letting people know what everybody else said, there were 113 people that completed the survey, which was great. And you'll see that overall we have 3, 4s, and 5s as far as what happened on that day connected with the strategic plan, giving opportunities for networking and collaboration. That's something we want to continue to improve on. To the right is just all of the sessions that were set up. The bar across is just how many people participated in it, but you'll just see the different opportunities we provided. And we did listen to our clinical team, and we made sure that they had specific sessions this time. These were just some of the comments. We always give people an opportunity to say what they have to think, and share that. We do want to say that the highlights that were huge were having food, not just breakfast, but also the trail mix that was set up by the wellness committee, and also the calm room, which is in our old board room, and we are keeping that available for faculty and staff if they need a little time out. So
I want to say kudos about your TA and aid one though, just because I know they often feel very left out on conference days, so it's nice to see such a positive comment from them.
Yes, thank you. Janet put something together for them, and that was really, that was about how to help students that maybe have ADD or ADHD. Not everybody attended that, but we'll make sure that we continue to provide opportunities. I just want to shout out 2 of our ex officio board members that their birthdays are coming up next week. So we wish Clyde and Violet very happy birthdays.
Thank you. But you can say money talks.
So just the Macbeth, the festival is this weekend that our students will be traveling to. That'll be at 1:15 p.m. We have our football game, and then there is SUNY Financial Aid Day that will be on Friday. Our craft fair and also Makerspace, which is always a success and a huge hit. The kids are looking forward
And Ron
to that.
loves helping.
Yes, he does. And she can always use volunteers. So if any of you are available to pop in any day from Thursday, December 11th through Wednesday, December 17th, during those window times, we'd love to have you. You can just let me know, and we'll make sure that we can do that. I'll have that in the board report too. Just our upcoming month at a glance. Again, we're moving from November, October. November's very fast. We have parent-teacher conferences, and then December is also a very busy and exciting month. So lots of things to look forward to, and you can look at it further in the report at the end of the week.
What's the cookies and characters?
Oh, that started last year. That was Beth Flores had set up for the custodial team that got all dressed up as
yep, I remember
the
seeing
Grinch,
pictures.
right? Mrs. Claus, Santa Claus, we had a
cool.
snowman. Am I missing something?
I love
And
that.
then this year they
Did you
changed.
dress up?
No. That's all my crew right there. They're good sports.
This year
That was
they changed.
awesome.
This year they're changing it up a little bit, right? They're gonna have for the older students, they're gonna greet them as they come in the morning and give them candy canes, and then I believe it's pre-K through 2 are gonna have cookies and milk
Aw.
and get to,
That's cool.
talk to the characters, so.
For B&G's sake, because it was very hot and sweaty being in there all the
Yeah.
time.
But it also
That's
was
really
great that
nice.
they wanted to do that, and it was such a huge hit. Yeah, we're doing it again. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Now we have our student board member report.
Okay.
Hi, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start with some athletic announcements. As we know now that the football team has had some major success. They won their homecoming game, I think it was the 17th, and they've been going strong ever since. They won their most recent game, and now they're heading to the regional semifinal on Saturday at SUNY Morrisville. And I'd also like to share a survey that Violet made and sent out to the team just about the switch to 8-man. Two statistics from the survey was the majority of the players found that it was as competitive as past years when it wasn't 8-man, and the entire team agreed that 8-man made it, the entire team agreed that it benefited the team and that it was a help to the team as a whole. And just a quick funny story, this past game, one of my friends and stars of the team, Casimir, played in the first half of the game, and they were up, and then at halftime, he ran to Macbeth because he was performing in the show with Shakespeare. And that was the performance I got to see, and he did a great job. He got there in time, and everyone was phenomenal in Macbeth. I definitely recommend if you can make it to Lennox. That's where it's Lennox. But it was phenomenal. And some brief other athletic announcements. We had the award ceremony, which marked a bittersweet end to all the fall sports except for football, which is still going. And we also had the Powder Puff game, juniors versus seniors, which the seniors won. And I got to commentate that actually alongside Aiden, who's a sophomore, and Miss Banyard. So that was a lot of fun. And then just some Halloween announcements. We had the pumpkin run. I spoke to some of the volunteers who said the kids really enjoyed it. They had a lot of fun. And then we also had trunk or treat, which was another fun experience for the kids, what I've heard. Didn't get to be there for either of them, but yeah. And then some in-school announcements. For the bathroom situation, a 4th bathroom was opened up. I personally have seen positive effects from it. I've seen shorter lines and quicker breaks in class for kids who are using the bathroom. But that's not to say that there's not still improvements to be made. The bathroom committee, I'm sure, will do great work and make improvements. But the bathrooms are not ready to fully be opened yet because vandalism is still occurring, which is an issue for sure. We also had the pre-K through 6th grade PBIS assembly, which is about bringing good behavior and bringing good behavior to the students. The assembly introduced a raffle system where when good behavior was noticed in a student, their name was signed onto a raffle ticket, which is drawn, I believe, once a week. I feel like multiple students' names are drawn. And
Yeah, 2 students from each class.
2 students from each class, and they can win individual awards, including homework passes and visits with the therapy dog, which I noticed, which I thought was very interesting. And then finally, we had Veterans Day and the Veterans Day Assembly, where the choir performed a few songs. They did an amazing job. And then the guest speaker was Mr. Kaleva. I thought he made an amazing speech. And just one line that I remember was him saying that you don't have to serve your country through the military or in uniform. You can serve your country every day through kindness to others. And there's so many ways to serve your country. So that was my takeaway, and I think that spoke to a lot of the students. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Clyde. Okay, we have Board of Education member activity reports. Sam?
I attended the pumpkin run and trunk or treat.
Nice.
Yeah, trunk or treat was great. Well attended, very, very busy. Some great trucks from some of our community members too, I think more than in previous years. And then pumpkin run was super adorable. Lots of FFA members, I think, were the volunteers helping with it.
Yeah.
But they did a really nice job. Tattoos, stickers, pumpkins, apple cider, super adorable for the little kids. They all enjoyed themselves.
Janine?
We had the workshop last week. We went to the board workshop, and then I also went to see Macbeth play Saturday night, and it was great.
Joe, you got a lot to report out, I know.
Yeah.
So start with the, what do you want to start with, conference or the delegate? Delegate.
So, I did the delegate thing. Thanks again for trusting me.
You always do a good job.
I logged in at 3:30. and they got done at 9:46.
Wow.
And it's kind of sad that there's over 700 school districts in the state, and only under 300 participate in this, 42%. So if anybody has a complaint on what's going on, they better be part of this. Okay?
True.
So there was a couple highlighted ones here was to oppose expanding, having more charter schools. That was a biggie that passed by 92% to oppose that.
Shocking.
And then there was another one about the hot days, extreme heat days, to make sure that they lobbied to get aid to schools so they could get air conditioners and stuff in. That was a big 91% voted yes for that one. Oh, and there was another biggie. This one was to give tax credits to people for their school taxes that have their kids go to private or charter schools. Yeah, that went down by 90%.
There's the yin and the yang of it all. No, didn't.
Oh, it didn't.
No, it didn't, yeah.
No, it's,
Oh, against it. Okay.
yeah. So then this was another biggie about.
What school district brought that, do you remember? You don't have to, because that sometimes the school district that brings these things, it's like, it's probably was Scarsdale, probably.
Oh. So then there was this one that Hicksville brought on. I happened to write that one down because this was the biggie. It was about getting aid for special education students, so we could get more aid transporting these kids and all this special ed that we have to comply by with state ed. And that passed by 96%. There was one woman that said one student for 6 months cost them $150,000 just for transportation in Long Island.
Yeah.
They must have used Uber or something. And then there was another one to with the CBA to hold the state accountable for not keeping track of the insurance companies from years ago.
Oh.
And we should get reimbursed and money for that. That was a 97%.
Interesting.
We'll go down here with,
It was NISBA brought it itself to oppose it.
Oh, NISBA brought to oppose it?
NISBA brought it to oppose the vouchers.
Oh, right,
and this was another one that I circled. This one meant a lot to me because it was about giving board members exempt from paying school taxes. And I feel
was it a vote or I wasn't sure? Oh, okay, no.
Everybody would be signing up.
I digress.
So I felt that it would have people the wrong reasons we could get on the board. That passed, that failed by 94%.
That failed?
That was that might keep me going, to be honest.
17 years later. All right, whatever.
And that was one that they did recommend.
Really?
Go for it.
That's interesting.
No.
They are having a hard time.
So there was 24 things were adopted, and again, it was interesting listening to people talk.
Yeah.
And especially the ones that don't pay attention and read the things, and they're in left field when they're talking about something. Okay, so that was that. So then I went to the convention, took a half dozen classes. Some of them were kind of redundant, but kind of updated that we are on the right track with pretty much everything we're doing. But there was one that I went to, and it was the state we're at with electric buses, EV buses. And there was about 200 to 300 people in the class. There was a NISBA lawyer, the state education guy that I didn't care for, and another guy that was just happy to be there. So there was not one hand raised that was a positive comment or a positive question with this whole thing. The main answer that kept getting given, which was I felt was a politician answer, was you can apply for an extension. That was their main answer, and the state ed guy gave one example of some district that the buses allegedly were working perfectly. I'm pretty sure it was probably only the size of Philmont, that district. That's my opinion. But, the big thing is Wappingers Falls School District has the biggest fleet in the state.
Oh, really? Wow.
300 buses,
No.
Wow.
$120 million.
Oh, not 300 electric. Oh,
No, that's how many buses they have now.
oh, okay.
Right, so
How big is that?
that would be, I'm guessing that would be about 120 million for electric buses. So that would pan out to about 10 million for the electric posts. And they also asked where they're gonna get the electric. You could apply for an extension. That was the answer.
Thank goodness we're not in Wappingers Falls.
Wow.
So
300 buses.
what was asked was, you could have diesel buses there to 2035. It's not like you're gonna get locked up and go to Sing Sing. You just won't get state aid if it doesn't qualify for the extension. But if we do the math with being fiscally responsible, it might be cheaper to keep them, the diesel buses. Because they're double. I don't know what the percentage on aid is for buying buses, but it might be cheaper to keep the diesels.
Is that the only one you want to talk about?
Yes.
Surprise.
And I went to the Support Staff Association bowling fundraiser, and I had so much fun.
Did you win?
Oh, no, my shoulder was out.
You're
I
a
did
good
bad.
bowler.
I did really bad this year, really bad.
All right.
But we had a lot of fun. They raised over $300.
Nice.
And I hope they do it again, because I enjoyed it.
Great.
All right, Margaret.
I went to homecoming, Macbeth, and the, what's that called? The sports awards night. Macbeth was really great. Homecoming was really cold. But I'm not like a fan of cold releases.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just very cold night that night. We did get the chicken dinner though. It was very good. Whoever cooked that was, so it was just chicken dinner for homecoming. That's it.
Yay. So I went to Manhattan as well with Joe, Bonnie, and Lynette, and I had a wonderful time. And as I was making small talk in the elevator with a bunch of people, I got asked, so hey, like, going to nationals this year? I don't know what else to talk about. It's awkward. And they're like, and she's like, oh no, our district can only budget. It's a stretch to send us to the state convention. So I want to say thank you, and I want to remind everybody how lucky we are to be in a position like that our budget's in. I mean, we're very fiscally responsible and we're very privileged. So thank you to Alexis as well for booking everything, and I appreciate it. Excuse me, I don't mean to be rude. My notes are on my phone. One of the classes that I took was Board of Education Conflict Resolution Methods. God knows we need it, which I thought was so, we talk about how we resolve conflict, but do we understand it? And I want to reiterate the chain of command. That was a big one, is we can't just, it doesn't all come to us all the time. We got to go through our principles and, it's great to hear about it, but I'm going to use our chain of command. And that's something I also need to work on as well, is like, how do we enforce it as a board member? How do I enforce it? So that's something that got me thinking. Internal versus external factors in decision-making. And how are we doing that? How are we influencing the decision-making? How are our faculty, our students influencing that? So those were a couple things I took away from that. The second one I really liked was student and staff relationships, establishing appropriate legal boundaries, which in our district is a complicated one, just based on the fact that everybody's related, married, cousins. We're a tight-knit community. Everybody's a coach. So how do we establish those boundaries? What do those look like? Pretty interesting. I have a lot of thinking to do about that. It gets awkward. That class was awkward when we're talking about some of that stuff. So I was, gritting my teeth. Anyway, some highlights of that were clearly defined boundaries within the classroom, adult and child. Doesn't matter if you're an adolescent, like an 18-year-old, there's an adult and a child. And Part 83 of the education law, which I love learning new things, was requires mandatory reporting to the state of education when misconduct is reported or suspected. A staff member's certification may be affected by this, and how that plays out. if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
I really like learning about it. So I had a
love-
great
I love
time.
that you love learning.
I had a great
You
time.
did.
And anyway, tomorrow I will be serving Thanksgiving dinner.
Yay!
So,
Ron?
Well, as we all know, I went to the football game. I'm glad I was an inspiration for them all. No, I was great. To be honest with you, I'd only seen 11-man football my whole life, but it was pretty much the same thing. The boundaries were
Guys,
narrower.
right?
Huh?
It's only 3 less guys, right?
Yeah, you know what? You don't even notice.
Yeah.
It doesn't ring like it's a different game. So I enjoyed it. I'm glad we won. I'm glad we're going to Morrisville. I have no idea who they are or where they are, but I hope we tear them apart. And
Me too.
I did go to Manhattan. Not for any of that stuff they went for, but it was a good time. No, my nephew had a baby shower, and now they do this with the guys and the girls go. But that was the good old days. Anyway, but it was a good time, and I'm glad that we were doing well.
I can't even picture you at a Jack and Jill. That's even funnier.
Yeah, well, I was watching a lot of Michigan football.
I bet.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, Joe?
I just wanted to tell Ron, it's my understanding that back in the heyday, Aquaman had 8-man football.
Yes.
Oh, they did?
And so I did this research on the phone, and back in 18-something, when football was invented, the field was like 250 yards wide and 400 yards long.
Whoa.
And they had 25 guys play. Then it went down to 20, and then it went down to 8. Professional football used to be 8, and then somehow somebody come up with 11, I guess, after that. But,
Yeah, they learn something new every day.
8-man football was original.
Oh,
Back in the,
interesting.
of course, Bob McFarland commented that he played 8-man, or if he played or that Aquamic had 8-man. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to talk about the conference first. So the one that I really liked was called Unlocking the Power of CTE. New York, there's a New York Center of Technical, what is it called? Technical Assistance Center of New York. So I'm going to give this information to Lynette tonight, but they are saying in the year 2027, the Board of Regents is meeting. They have not come up with a final, they don't have a final picture of what this looks like, but every kid from 2027 entering freshman year will be required to have 1 CTE credit to graduate. They don't know what that's going to look like. I mean, there was a school district there that said, well, what about kids that are college bound and they're taking AP courses and they're trying, they have to fit all of those classes in. So he said that's one of the things that they're struggling with, trying to figure out. They think it's going to be very fluid. They said maybe it'll be, you take a summer internships with a company, that will be your credit. They don't have it set in stone yet, but that's what they're talking about, because every kid is different. I mean, so I was kind of pleasantly surprised with that because we're always so strict and they're going to be a little loosey-goosey. So kudos to them. So they gave me a lot of information and a lot of resources for our CTE teacher to access to help them. So I like that. That was my favorite class that I took. There was one that I did that was on community engagement. And to be honest, we're doing a lot of that stuff. I mean, that's one of the things I think Joe was in that class with me.
Yeah, that's what.
And it was like branding your district, do meet and greet board, coffee shops. Department heads talk about their budgets, which we do that every year. They're saying have a community engagement committee, which, yeah, maybe. They're saying communicate your budget with community groups. So they're saying maybe go to your, town libraries and present your budget there instead of coming to the board meeting. Just go there and present your budget at town meetings, which I think is a great idea.
We've done that.
Yeah, we've done our board meetings at different towns, right? So there's a lot of things that we've already done that they're recommending. So I thought that was pretty cool. They're saying also to show your initiative programs, what your students are doing, put that out there. Just, always highlighting what's going on here. I know our local newspaper doesn't always like to put Taconic Hills in their newspaper, but, you know, hopefully we'll get better at that. And one interesting thing, and he says, I won't promote this, he said, but what you can do is, you know, talk to your local real estaters and tell them what you're doing in your school district if you're trying to get people to move into the district. Highlight your school district by going to the realtors and saying, hey, you know, this is some cool stuff that we're doing here. So it's a selling point for them as well. And then they said something about doing a community book club, which I thought was interesting. You know, I know we do one here, right? We do one within the school,
Yes.
but they're saying do one like with the whole community. So I don't know what that will look like, but it was just an idea. So then the other thing I did was Lynette and I went to, Copacan invited us to their, what meeting? It was before their town meeting, right? It was like a committee. And they were asking us questions. They wanted to know like what our enrollment was. You know, they were really interested in what we're doing here. And I hope more towns do something like this. And at the end of it, and actually the one guy did remember that you asked him about his money, and which I thought was cool. He remembered that. And he said, did you ever get any responses from any other supervisors? And I said, no. So anyway, at the end of it, when we left, the supervisor said, listen, if you need anything that we can do for you, let us know and we'll try to help you. So I wish more of the towns would do that for us. Because again, this is advocating for the school district by putting us out there into the community. They were very welcoming. And is there anything else you want to say about the meeting?
They were really excited about the opportunity of the daycare.
They were.
And their concern was how do we get families to be here in our community.
Yeah, because they know that our enrollment's going down. And I mean, even for their communities, they're also worried about young families moving into their areas. So they're trying to work with us to try to get ways to have young families move in. So I thought it was a really great conversation, and we're going to go back again another time. So you.
So even though I didn't get to the football game, I'm very proud of our football team. I'm glad they're winning. It makes me feel good. And I'm glad that at least one of the football teams that I support has got a winning record. It's tough this year as a Giants fan again, but congratulations to Taconic Hills. You're doing a great job.
Cool. All right. Now we can move on to new business. So we have policies. We have the first reads. You see there the numbers. Second reads tonight that we are approving: 1511, 5682, 5280. 8635 and 8635-R. I need a motion for those, please. Margaret, second. Molly, Margaret, you want to talk about those at all?
There's a lot of them, obviously. I guess I'll say we are passing now the, so it is official because Janine had asked about that, but the interscholastic athletics that if you are taking 3 varsity sports, each season, you do not need to take gym class. And that there is a law that we found, and that's legal. So we're keeping that on the books for people that need that to need that free time to put a class in there. Let's see, we found, you know, with the cardiac automated external defibrillators, we're following all of that the way we should be, thanks to Angela Webster. There's a lot of, and we're putting them around the school. Let's see, John did the safety breach. The display of the flag was reviewed, and we're basically following the NISBA sample, which was what we already had. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay.
Did you have anything, Lynette, about the policies you wanted to mention?
Staff and student wellness was just updates of people who are on the wellness committee and co-chairing it, and promotion and retention of students is just talking about attendance and how that can impact whether a student can move forward or not. And that was also noted in Dr. Courtwright-Torres's presentation.
Oh, right. Those are still first reads. So we're gonna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Then we have the amended district-wide safety plan. Motion, please. Rick, second. Molly, any questions? All in favor? I need a motion for the financial reserve plan update. Motion, please. Rick, second.
You just can't see Margaret.
Margaret. Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Insurance proceeds, I need a motion to acceptance of the proceeds of $4,061.05 from October 27, 2025. We have Margaret and Sam. Any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Resolution to close the charging infrastructure for zero emission bus fleet capital project fund. So this is just closing out that capital fund because we're done with the project, correct? Motion, please. We have Joe and Margaret. Any questions? All in favor? Okay. Oh, this is on the bottom here. A motion for the 2025-2026 tax cert reserve account to be funded $41,115.12. Ron and Rick, any questions? All in favor? All right, we need a motion for the intern school principal, junior, senior high school principal. Motion, Sam and Molly. Any questions? All in favor? Congratulations, welcome.
Those 2 days will not have been in vain.
All right, I need a motion for the memorandum of agreement with the Taconic Hills Faculty Association to allow the district speech pathologist to provide speech services to eligible preschool-aged children of the district when needed. We have Sam and Molly. Any questions?
I just want to say I love it.
I was gonna say, I just have a comment. I think this is a wonderful idea. You have a question?
No.
Oh, you're ready for all in favor? All in favor? Sorry, Brian, you're one step ahead of me.
No.
All right, motion for the personnel agenda from B through E. Motion, please. We've got Sam and Molly. And I just want to acknowledge again, the retiring teacher, Michael Robbins. He had 24 years of service with us. So again, congratulations to him, and I wish him well in his endeavors.
And he'll be missed. He was very infectious.
I always saw him smile. I don't think I ever saw him not smiling. So, all in favor? Okay. Do we have anybody for public session number 2? All right. Anybody have additional items to discuss? I don't have anything this time, surprisingly enough. All right. I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person. Sam, and we have Janine. I finally saw you, Janine. All in favor? All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Safe travels home. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
That's okay.